Alright, what's going on YouTube? This is going to be a long video. I'm going to just hang out, just talk to you guys. I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. I mean, that's my childhood. Huge. I've never done a video like this before. You might catch me doing movie reviews here and there, especially like on the comic book related films. But I've never done a video on anime before. Some of you know I'm a big anime fan because you would see me in the comments and anime videos on YouTube and whatever. So you guys know, and then some of the older subscribers that used to watch me do videos in my basement in my old house, you would see my DVD rack. I still have it here. All my anime, all of that is just pure anime. All of that is anime DVDs. I used to collect them. They're all old now. It's old anime. Got Dragon Ball, Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, Neon Genesis, Gungrave, Initial D. These are all old anime stuff. I don't buy DVDs anymore. Gundam, Baki. I got everything there. Samurai. I got everything. Berserk, Hellsing. I got everything there. But some of you guys knew I was into it back then. If you from the old videos I used to do. So anyway, Dragon Ball's Super Broly came out last week. I saw it the night of. Went to see it on IMAX in Manhattan. And it's funny because I went to see a 9 o'clock showing. Wasn't expecting kids to be there on a school night. But this is the night it premiered. So I go, and I'm going like straight from work. I'm wearing a suit and tie and everything. So I probably look real stupid going to a movie to see Dragon Ball Z with a suit and tie. I get there, it's nothing but grown men there. A lot of women there too. It's nothing but grown folks there. I know it was late, but it wasn't that late. It was like everybody there was in their mid 20s to like 40s, easily. So I thought that was kind of funny, and it was packed. Like the whole theater was packed. It was crazy. It was a nice experience. I seen the other Dragon Ball films and the movies when they premiered here, but this was like big. I think when they came out with the other two films, Battle of the Gods and the Resurrection of Frieza, it was just in certain movie theaters. So it was kind of like you have to go there. We're only showing for like maybe 3 days or whatever. But it was a great experience. I love the movie. But listen, I'm a legit Dragon Ball Z guy. I love Super. I watch Super all the way through in Japanese. I actually I prefer to watch it in Japanese. But let me tell you guys, I've been watching Dragon Ball since the mid 90s. Whenever they premiered it in English here in America, when they were showing it like on basic cable, like on Channel 11, they were showing like the original Saiyan saga all the way up to like the early stages of the Namek saga, like when they, the Ginyu and everything, that stopped there, and they used to play all the way back from the beginning over and over again. So they would never go past that. So after that, that's all I saw. We didn't have the internet like the way we do. Yeah, we had AOL. We signed in back then, but the internet wasn't like the way it was here. You can't just go on and just search shit. So it wasn't until like I was with my dad, and I know I'm just rambling, but there's gonna be a lot of rambling in this video. It's gonna be a long video. I'll never forget when we used to go to Harlem. I live in Harlem now, but at this time, we lived in Harlem, moved upstate to the suburbs, and my dad used to come to the city still. We used to come to the city all the time, but we used to come to the city to get Kung Fu flicks. So we go to the spot on 125th Street. There's this African dude that sold nothing but bootleg movies, Kung Fu, like hard to find shit. And DVDs wasn't like hot at this time, so we used to buy the VHS tapes. So you get the old Kung Fu flicks. So I go there one time. We didn't go all the time, but I went there one time with him, and I see a poster of Goku with yellow hair, right? So at that time, I had no idea what that meant because I'd never seen nothing past what they showed on television, which was the early stages of the Ginyu Force shit. I didn't see anything else after that. So I asked the guy that worked there. I was like, "Yo, you have Dragon Ball Z tapes?" And he showed it to me, and he had a few, not many, but he had a few. And I asked my dad to buy me like four, and he was like, the guy was charging like $15. It was crazy. He was selling these kung fu flicks for like $3-4, but the Dragon Ball Z tapes he was selling for like $15. So I picked two movies. One of them was the original Broly movie, the eighth Dragon Ball Z film, and the other was like a few episodes of the Android saga, like when Vegeta was getting his ass kicked or some shit. So I bought them only specifically because on the cover they had yellow hair. I saw Vegeta, Goku on them, Gohan with yellow hair. So I bought those two, not knowing what the hell, how did they get to this point? I didn't know what a Super Saiyan was. I didn't know who Trunks was. I didn't know anything. Brought it back home, saw the Broly movie. That was the first movie I ever saw. It was in Japanese. I don't even think the subtitles was there. It was such a poor quality film. But I was amazed by how the animation looked at that stage. And I was amazed at just how powerful everybody got. So at this point, it was my mission to find all of these places that would sell these tapes. And I used all of my allowance money on Dragon Ball Z tapes and video games too. I was a big gamer, so I was buying. I found spots. It was a Japanese store in like the malls. Like there was Dragon's Den back in the day that allowed you to rent these Japanese anime films, and then I don't know if you guys remember. You guys remember Media Play? This was like the store that was always in the mall that had all electronic related entertainment stuff, video games, movies, DVDs, anime stuff, like whatever you want. They had this. This was like the store to get that stuff. Now I was buying the original. At some point, I was buying the official Dragon Ball Z tapes. Because at that point, years later, they started selling the tapes, and it was really popular. It was on Cartoon Network and shit. So at that point, but I found a Japanese store that was right next to it in the mall that had the tapes. So I started buying like all of the movies. These people sold it for like $20, man. I was getting ripped off. But I didn't care. It was shitty quality, but it was so much ahead of what they were showing on television. At that point, I knew what a Super Saiyan was and everything, but I just wanted to be ahead. So I bought all the other tapes, and that's how I fell in love, man. I used to watch, I watched everything from that point. Watched everything, and I jumped ahead, started watching everything in Japanese, and it actually became my favorite show for years. Like I spent all my money on in grade school on Dragon Ball Z related shit. So, I was happy to announce that they announced that this movie was coming out. At first, I wasn't happy when I found out it was Broly. I thought they could have been a little bit more original. The first Broly movies, I actually liked the first one the best. The other two, not so much, especially the last one with the Bio Broly. I hated that shit. But as far as the first film, Broly was always my favorite villain in the films. Not in the series, but in the films, Broly was the only villain that I really, really liked from the first original 13 films from Dragon Ball Z. Not talking about early Dragon Ball. I'm not talking about Dragon Ball GT. Just Dragon Ball Z. Broly was my favorite villain. It's just that the movie wasn't my favorite movie. It was just, I hated the story. I thought it was cheesy. I thought Broly, he didn't talk. It was just more like he just screaming out Kakarot the whole movie. I thought he was, I didn't like it. I liked him, but I just didn't like the movie itself. Even back then, it was more like I thought it was silly that he hated Goku so much just because he used to cry. I just thought it was, and then the fact that he carried his father in space when Frieza destroyed the planet, I just thought it was kind of silly. So, the movie was a good movie. It was one of the better Dragon Ball Z films. But like I said, it wasn't my favorite. But he was my favorite villain just because he was a strong Super Saiyan and he beat the shit out of all of them. So I was, when they said that we was bringing him back, I was like, they could have been a little bit more creative. But, it is what it is. Now, I went to see the film, and I saw the film already. I couldn't help and wait. I saw the Japanese versions online, and then I saw the pirated versions. I saw the Japanese one, and then I saw the one that's Espanol, which were a lot clearer. I personally think that between the three, the English, the Japanese, and the Spanish versions, there are certain characters that I liked better, depending on like Paragus, for example. All right, I liked his English voice better than his Japanese and Spanish voice. I hated his Japanese voice. He's just always screaming, whining, and calling Broly by his name. It was just annoying to me. Um, I think all three did a good job, though. I think the English dub, I think they did a great job with Goku's voice, especially when he was getting his ass kicked. I thought they did a good job. All right, I thought the movie was a good film. Um, I personally like Bardock because you got to remember we're pulling the original Brawly movie into this and that story, and then you're also pulling in the whole Bardock stuff too at the same time. The original Bardock story I liked better. That movie I liked better because it was just solely based on that story and Bardock's story. It wasn't really about Goku like that. In this film, I feel like I thought it was good that they changed the story. Like there was more of a reason for Paragus and Broly to want to have revenge against Vegeta because his father sent them on a away planet. I thought that aspect and the build up of Broly's story was much better written here. Broly was just overall a better character. I liked his design better. I liked his, he had some character. He was like, he had a person. He was a real person in this one. But as far as Bardock, I like Bardock, and I felt like, I know Goku's mom, Gine, was in this. I like the original story with Bardock better. It's just like the older Bardock was more like a Saiyan, like a real Saiyan to me, like a real fighter. I'm not saying he wasn't in this film. It's just that in this film, he was just more like a loving dad, more so than the guy that was in the other film. Okay? So I did like that other film better. I felt like that story was just a little bit too rushed. They did a good job with the story overall, but there was some points about it that on the Goku original, Bardock side where it was just rushed. It was more focused on Brawly, which is fine. I'm just saying that I like the original one better. But the Brawly side was much better. Way better. It's not even debatable. Okay? The fights was better. Everything. So let's get into the fight. Because the fight is like half the whole movie is the fucking fight. The fight was incredible. Like, I mean, me personally, my favorite part of the fight, because I've seen it so many times. I've seen the movie once in the theater, but I watched it online like a bunch of times. The Vegeta opening part, all the way up until when Goku fought him, was my favorite. I just liked that fight between him. I thought it was the more evenly matched part. Like, as Vegeta continued to go to Super Saiyan and then God and everything, I just thought that fight was better. A bit more martial art-ish. It was just, Broly was just figuring out how to fight. on that level, and Vegeta was just clearly more experienced. It's just that Broly was just so powerful. And it's just like he caught up with whatever level Vegeta was in like every minute of this film. I love the Goku fight too. And I'm saying I didn't like him. I just hate when I see Vegeta gets beat down so bad. He didn't get beat down in this film. Goku got beat down. So it was good for me to see Vegeta like do his thing for a while and not being saved by Goku like he normally is. Goku kind of jumped in between the fight. The fight was going well. Vegeta didn't even go blue yet. He was just, on the red. He was on the red transformation. So I thought it was pretty cool how how the fight went, and I liked how they brought back Gogeta. My thing is, I think if I have any complaints of the fight, I have two. I felt like when Vegeta jumped back in to help Goku, I think that part could have gone a little longer while they were both fighting in the blue form. It seemed like as soon as Vegeta jumped in, it's just like Broly just like was beating him up, and Vegeta jumps in and then his shirt is ripped. Like he didn't even do anything yet, So I thought that could have been a little better as far as them fighting before deciding to escape. Gogeta fight was in a crazy. Like the animation of the Gogeta fight with Broly was insane. Like it was the craziest shit I've seen on any Dragon Ball. But the one thing I didn't like about the Gogeta fight was in that one period where they were fighting in like, I don't know, they were like in some kind of shell, and I couldn't really tell what was going on. Especially in the IMAX, the screen is like this, so it's like around you. So I really couldn't understand what the hell was going on. You know, I thought it was still good. It's just that I would have preferred like the way they were showing the remainder of the fight after they broke out of that glass shell they were in. But Gogeta was great. I've always been a fan of him over Vegito. I know we only seen him twice, and we saw him in the end of GT, and we seen him in that Janemba film, in the 12th Dragon Ball film. We didn't get any more than that. I liked him in that 12th Dragon Ball film. That was my favorite moment out of all of the movies. I just didn't care for that movie as much. I didn't like Janemba as a villain. I didn't like the fat version of him. I liked the condensed version with the red guy with the sword. I liked him when he was in that form. But outside of that, we didn't see Gogeta. I always liked him better than Vegito. I thought Vegito was cool. I just liked Gogeta. I just liked his look better than Vegito when he was fighting Boo and shit. So, listen, the movie was amazing. Now, was it my favorite, absolutely favorite Dragon Ball film ever? I think it's top 3. I have to go back to my child. To be fair, I have to go back to my childhood and think back, and I did that. There were 2 movies that I used to always watch. And listen, none of them compare as far as a fight scene. None of them compare to this film. This film blows out all of these films. But my original 2 favorite Dragon Ball Z films were Wrath of the Dragon and The World's Strongest. I thought The World's Strongest at that time had my favorite fighting scenes in it. Just raw Goku, just Kaioken, just straight fighting. I actually picked them out because I have them over here. These 2 films. This one and this one. I thought the story to Wrath of the Dragon was the best. Like, that was my favorite story out of the film, out of all of the films. I think that was the only Dragon Ball Z film that felt like a real movie. I think it was the longest out of the first 13, and I felt like, it was a good story. The whole story, the build-up, like they actually made a real story. Every other Dragon Ball film was like there was a bad guy and they're coming to kill and destroy the planet. That was every single film. Hold on. So, um, yo, those are my favorite two films. I like Battle of the Gods. I think Battle of the Gods is probably my top five because I like the story in there. You know, I like the introduction of Beerus. I like Beerus a lot, so I did like that film. But the fighting didn't do it enough for me. You know, Resurrection of F had some good fighter, better fighting, but it was just a stupid story. You know, it was just like when they brought Frieza back like that, I just thought it was corny. But I know the point of it. I know Frieza generates a lot of money. I know over there in Japan, he's big there, so I get it. But I didn't care for those two films like on that level of this film or some of the original films. All right, most of the original films weren't really that good. You know, I'm looking at them now. I thought I thought the BoJack movie was really good. I thought the Trunks story was very very good. Um, Trunks is my favorite character. I thought a few of the other, like the original Broly movie was good. I thought the Metal Cooler one was pretty decent. I thought the Android 13 one had some good fighting in it. But most of them weren't really that good, you know. Um, so anyway, now as far as yeah, the movie was a great movie. You know, I think they did a good job, and they can. I don't know. You know, I think at this point, being that they made as much money as they did, I think at this point they need to really just stick to making real good full fledged films like this. None of them have been that way to me. You know, I think all of the films besides this Brawley one felt like movies that just could go straight to DVD. This was the first film like that they had a full story and a great fighting experience, one that you had to see on film. You know, I know I ruined it for myself a bit because I saw it early. I just couldn't wait. Uh, you know, I follow these YouTube channels that expose everything in the titles. And, you know, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait a whole month to watch that shit. But it was, you know, it was a great experience. All right. Um, as far as Dragon Ball Z, I'm sorry, Dragon Ball Super. I watched Super all the way through. Every Saturday night I would watch it. I would find, you know, ways to watch it when they showed it, you know, on live online and on Japanese. I watched it all the way through. I have it now on Verve. I do subscribe to Verve, so you know I have it on Verve. I've seen it a million times. Super overall was kind of a letdown. I liked it more than GT, but not nearly as much as Z. Super really didn't get good to me into the Goku Black story. I think at the very end of the Goku Black story, the Zamasu story, I think they dropped the ball with it, the way that it ended. But I think the build up made it so interesting because you didn't know who the hell Zamasu and all Goku Black. You didn't know, and plus Trunks was my favorite character, so I was glad to see that he was back. There was some good moments, some good fight scenes. I really don't think Super started until there. I think before that, the only thing I really cared for in Super was the fight between Hit and Goku and Vegeta. Outside of that, I didn't care for Super that much. I would watch it every week, but it just wasn't on the level of Z. It wasn't until Hit was introduced to in Super that I really started paying attention and started really caring and enjoying Dragon Ball Super. I liked the Goku Black's, you know, saga. I thought it was disappointed with Vegito and coming back and everything, but it wasn't until the Tournament of Power and Jiren came that I felt like Super was finally an upgrade. When Jiren came and they did that 2 episode special, the animation was on the level that we never seen it in Dragon Ball, and It's not on this level, but it was on a level where we just never seen it before. I watched the fight between Goku and Jiren at least 100 times, and I'm not even over exaggerating. Like those last 3 episodes of Super, I've probably watched 100 times, and just the earlier, the first, because Goku and Jiren fought each other about 3 times in that tournament, so I honestly feel that the Ultra Instinct transformation is the only true godlike transformation that I've seen in this whole series. Like from Super Saiyan and all of those, yeah, Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, talking about Z, not GT. I thought Super Saiyan 4 was great. Between 2 all the way up to Blue, I never felt like any of those transformations were really that great. I like Super Saiyan 3 because of the way it looked, but they never did anything with it. I thought Red and Blue, especially Red, was a waste. Goku used it against Beerus. They made it seem like it was such a big deal. They dedicated a whole episode to that transformation. And they hardly ever used it after that. And then when they did use it, he was getting beat up. So me personally, I think when he turned into Ultra Instinct, that was the first like God form that it was the only form that made it seem like, okay, holy shit, this dude is fucking stronger than anybody. Like that's the only transformation. That's the first transformation since the original Super Saiyan that made me feel like this is like the one. And I hope they don't ruin it. I hope they don't ruin it because we've seen so many transformations: red, blue, rage. You got all these transformations. You got bluer Vegeta. He's a I don't know. Some of them are okay, but I think the Jiren fight was my favorite, and the Ultra Instinct moment was my favorite moment in all of Dragon Ball. To be honest with you, I think that was the best shit I've ever seen. And I know the Broly movie was sick. The action was great. The animation was crazy. But nothing for me has matched that moment of when Goku turned into Ultra Instinct. That episode was the greatest thing I ever seen. Period, in any Dragon Ball related movie. So I'm looking forward to Super coming back. I'm looking forward to the future movies that they're gonna make. Um, I don't know what they're gonna do. I think when it comes to Dragon Ball, it's like a love and hate thing because it's like they boost certain forms up so much that you would think that at this point that no one should be able to beat these guys, but then the power scaling is always off, and then somebody could just randomly come. Like they made Hit look so strong, yet they made him look so weak when he returned. And I hate when they do that. And then they made Jiren look so strong, yet Broly comes out of nowhere, and now they're claiming that he's strong, and I don't know if that's true, but like nobody should be stronger than Jiren. Like that's I think every fan looks at it and think that the same thing. Jiren, the way they hyped Jiren was monumental. Like Jiren was Superman. Like Jiren was like there was nobody in the universe of anything was stronger than this guy. Like the way they made him look easily just beating Goku in his blue form. No one should be that strong. Yet they made him that strong. And then Broly comes out of nowhere and he washes both Goku and Vegeta like it's nothing. Like shit like that annoys me. You know, I'm still gonna be entertained by the show, so why I'm gonna play it? I mean, listen, I guess the show would be boring if Goku and Vegeta just beat up everybody easily, so I get it. But they gotta do better with the pacing of this show. They have to do better. Alright. I would like to see more fights where they're actually beating people up without having to transform to their strongest form. Because it got to a point where every fight was them fighting in their blue form. And it's like they have all these other forms that are useless, you know? So, anyway, I think I've done enough talking about Dragonfall. I feel like a complete geek right now, but I love that shit. And I know a lot of you guys do too. So, yeah, I just wanted to give you my thoughts on Dragon Ball overall. I know you guys are going to leave a bunch of comments and shit. Uh, a new series is supposed to come out this year. Look forward to that. And that's it. All right. So drop your comments. Make sure you guys hit subscribe. I am a boxing channel, so I'm not gonna just be talking about Dragon Ball. I might do more videos on that stuff, but I am a boxing channel. Boxing channel. I just wanted to do a review of everything Dragon Ball related. It's supposed to be a review of the movie, but I spoke on everything. So anyway, I'm out. Peace.